Okay, the recording has started. So we are officially under our interview for Hyperautomation workshop. I've got our special guest today. Hi, Tomasz.
Hi, hello.
How are you doing?
I'm pretty good.
Pretty good?
Exciting for the event. Excited for the this questionnaire, the interview.
Yes, I'm also really excited because it's not only the interview, it's that what day we actually have today. We got our event actually exactly 3 weeks from now. So 3 weeks Friday from now, you will be at Baltic Summit.
I thought that you're excited about the day because tomorrow is weekend.
Uh, yeah, but it's interview, so I wanted to find some slots regarding the Baltic Summit. But you are true, weekend is great opportunity to chill a little bit. If we got the introduction behind ourselves, can you explain in certain terms what hyper automation means and why it's gaining traction in organizations? How does it differ from any other automations?
All right, so yeah, that's a good question for the beginning. Basically, the term hyperautomation is not very new, and it basically stands for a business-driven automation of anything that can be automated using any tools which are available for this automation. And well, I'm obviously focusing on Microsoft, and in terms of hyperautomation, I will be focusing on Power Platform. In short words, this is just to let to automate the processes that are recognized and that are present within the organization using any tools that IT owns. In our case, this will be mostly, as mentioned, the Power Platform products. And how it differs? Well, mainly because in the automation that we know, which is present mainly on the cloud level, the hyperautomation does not only take place in the cloud, but can as well be executed on local machines and even beyond. So that is mainly the biggest difference between the hyperautomation and the regular workflows, regular automation that we are used to.
Yes, of course. It's really great explanation. It's opening eyes for many aspects. So you said they already own tool. What about the company would like to start the journey with hyper automation? Is it difficult for them, or is it just come to the workshop and it's that easy?
Right, the workshop is going to be a kind of an inspiration for them, and they obviously don't need to, go into the Power Platform stack of products. It can be any other platform. The biggest benefits, obviously, behind any automation, and this kind of is not very much different, is that the companies are going to automate these repetitive, boring, usually tasks which are bothering their employees, and then after their employees are released, they can be moved to work on some more challenging topics or tasks. So that's the key benefit, because they can easily, let's say, reuse their employees to make some more important work. And that's as well the kind of an impact. So with the hyper automation, companies will simply be able to automate these areas which in the past were known or were told to not be possible for automation.
We're getting quite closer to the automate everything approach. So let's see if one day we actually will be able to automate everything. So it seems that it might be difficult to start, or maybe it isn't. So what is the ideal audience and what level participants should be to be able to attend?
Basically, you don't need to be an expert in any kind of automation, because this workshop is intended for anyone. It is supplemented with instructions. So we will be just following steps. I will be executing steps. The audience will be following after me. And if anyone is lost, then they will have their own instructions where they have the same information described that I will be doing. So it's more about the attitude and maybe their willingness to learn something new, and this openness to experiment with the technology that they have never used. And therefore, it's as well intended and pretty good for even the beginners.
We mentioned already, right, that it's Power Platform, it's Microsoft's stack of technologies for the RPI, but could you give us a brief overview of the tools and technologies associated with automation like AI and RPA? How do they contribute to that automate everything goal?
Before, or maybe let's say in the past, it's not like before the hyperautomation term was invented, but in the past, we are mostly focusing on cloud processes and those which were running in Microsoft 365 or the Office 365 back then. And it was quite difficult for Power Platform users to automate applications which were, for example, running on someone's desktop or on the server that were not having any kind of APIs, not to mention the REST APIs, obviously. And with a hyperautomation Power Platform, now we're like able to create a process which is triggered in a cloud and then executes is being executed somewhere on premises on a desktop to automate an old application that, as mentioned, does not have any kind of API. And we are as well able to include the AI that today is not only about OCR or extraction of information from images, but today we have as well this Azure OpenAI with the GPT models. So it brings even more capabilities for the processes to be like smart, to better understand what user wants and to transform their inputs in like real time to whatever user needs. So with all these tools on board, the Hyperautomation Power Platform is pretty powerful concept that can be used by companies running Microsoft stack.
It seems to be really powerful, and I believe that the only thing that is stopping is the imaginary, what we can do with it, right?
Kind of.
So kind of. Yeah. And you mentioned streamlining process. Could you provide a concrete example of a process that could be streamlined using hyperautomation technique?
Sure. So mainly the customers I've been working with were trying to automate those on-premise applications like CRM or ERPs, for example, SAP or JD Edwards or Microsoft Navision. And these products, they sometimes do have APIs, but customers or companies are missing developers to help them create specific endpoints. And so one of the examples I can mention here is working with vendor master data in SAP. So like imagine you have a vendor whose bank account number is being stored in SAP, and then the bank account number is being used obviously by accountancy to make the salary payments. And so there is a request to create or to update that bank account number that obviously needs to go through an approval process. And so after it is approved, you would expect that it's being updated in SAP. And let's say before the hyperautomation, there had to be an employee who accessed SAP and then manually updated the account number. And with merger or marriage with RPA, the cloud process would be able to as well update that bank account number itself. So that is just like a short example of how this can be used.
Okay, it's actually really, really great example that you provided. This process seems incredible, and how attendees will get a hands-on experience with creating such processes. Of course, this was perfect example. I believe we don't have to go that deep during the workshop, but of course it would be quite nice for some hands-on over there, for some cool scenarios.
Right. So as I mentioned before, attendees will be supplemented with the instructions. So that will be their Bible on not to get lost. And during the workshop, I will be automating an end-to-end process that will be triggered by an invoice sent in PDF format by whatever customer or vendor. And then the invoice will be picked up by the AI and OCR, so some important information will be extracted, but later will be used to create an approval process. And after the approval, the data from the invoice will be stored in, well, the old CRM that the company is still using and is just running on some kind of a server somewhere. So that will be automated during the workshops. There will be some other minor enhancements like the use of websites for currency conversions and Excel manipulation, but the whole, the big picture is to automate invoices handling in a company, which data is then being stored in a CRM.
It's
And
really
we'll be doing that
interesting.
together. So I'll be just showing, and attendees will be following after me. It won't be like a presentation where everyone just sits and watch, but instead we'll be just doing this together.
It's amazing opportunity to have hands-on with such a great expert as you. I believe the example that you provided is also really valuable because, for example, the invoices issue, the three-way matching, the companies all quite often have to check their orders with spendings, etc. Is really valuable example for actually most of the companies. So that's really great that you thought about this use case for pretty much everyone. Awesome.
Thank you.
As we mentioned during our conversation, this great interview for Baltic Summit, that about AI. AI is really a hot topic, especially with ChatGPT, a lot of updates going on, some Copilot stuff that we have in Microsoft Word. But regarding your workshop, is AI knowledge required for people before join, or whatever basic information they can have from what's going on around the world will be more than enough to start and learn during the workshop?
Well, basically, we will be just using a builder. I mean, we're not just
Powerful tool.
It is a powerful tool indeed, but I will just make a very short showcase of what a builder can do and what is their like out of box. But during the workshop, we're not going to use any of the pre-built models, even though we could. But my goal is as well to show how you can, like how users, how attendees will be able later to create their own custom models where they will be able to extract some additional information to that is available from the pre-built models, which will as well give them a little bit of better understanding of what is a builder, how to work with these models, how to create their own models, and so on. So, but basically, they do not need to know anything prior to the workshop. They do not need to be any AI experts in that field. No, nothing.
Yeah. So they will come with attitude of having a lot of fun and be able to learn, and they will come out having such amazing knowledge. You got Power Automate Desktop, AI Builder, some cloud flows, right? Also.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it's amazing. So can you share a teaser of maybe some tips and tricks you will be covering in the workshop to enhance the efficiency of both the cloud flows and desktop flows? You know, like a small teaser.
I know.
It's a quick
I'm just
interview,
torn.
not to sell everything.
I'm
It will
torn,
be
yes. Not so whether I should tell anything or maybe leave it to be told during the workshop, so that maybe it will be a better teaser. But like one of the maybe tips and tricks that you can learn from the interview itself is, for example, if you're trying to store some information in Cloudflow, but you don't want this information to be persistent, like you don't want to update this information as the flow instance is running, then instead of using variables, use compose and then use the outputs from compose. So that would be like one tip for the Power Automate. For the Power Automate for desktop, well, users usually start building desktop flows trying to really follow the same steps as an employee is doing. So if an employee is clicking on that button, then they assume bot should do the same thing. But instead of trying to really follow the same steps as an employee, try to think like out of box how these work that employees doing can be done more efficiently. Maybe instead of clicking on the interface, try to send some keyboard shortcuts, or maybe even use scripting to make it faster. So that would be the second tip.
You're making this so interesting. I want to go and go from the beginning till the end with every detail. And I know it's really interesting. I've got few more questions to you, but to be honest, parts of them were actually described in your responses. You already provided the really great explanation to those. So we actually have the brief insight of the RPA and how it fits into the hyperautomation landscape. We already know what are the prerequisites to participate the workshop. So
maybe not. I mean,
maybe
those
not.
prerequisites.
Okay.
There is something more that I would like to emphasize. So a week earlier, a week before workshops, you as attendees, you should receive from the organizers on behalf of me a link to a zip file that will contain all the lab instructions. And this zip file will as well contain an application that I would kindly ask you to install. It's no phishing, no keylogger or anything. It's just the old CRM that we'll be using for automation. And as well, it contains some pre-labs that you'll have to complete before you attend the workshop. Those are like 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3, and they will guide you through setup of your demo tenant and obtaining demo licenses for the automation, for the Power Automate for desktop. So just be sure that you are able to walk through these workshop labs. And if there will be lots of comments that you're not able to do this on your own, then I think we'll be able to even organize like a short meeting, short call before the workshop so that we go through these pre-workshop labs together. And also just be sure, because we'll be using this, like, let's say, commercial version of Power Automate for desktop, that your machine that you'll be using is running Windows 10 or 11 in Pro or Enterprise version. So no home, no educational versions will be sufficient for these use cases that we'll be doing on Friday.
Okay.
So there is a number of prerequisites actually.
Okay. Yeah. I thought about the prerequisites of the knowledge that is required to join and the level of experience, but you are 100% right. This might be a tricky question, but what about people who owns MacBooks? Should they just put it away, get their Windows laptop, or will that be running? Can it run also on some
No. So
VMs?
I mean, yeah, through to a VM, yes, that's fine. But unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, Power Automate for desktop does not run, let's say, natively on MacBooks. So they can only be used to display virtual machine that runs Windows.
It's really, I believe it's quite important information not to be surprised that you cannot get everything from the workshop because you didn't bring the proper device. So that's really important. So lastly, what is the main message you would like to tell attendees, the message to take away from your hyperautomation workshop from Baltic Summit 23?
And that is a good question. I was thinking about it the whole day.
The whole day. That's
Yes, the whole day, like
extensive.
ever since I learned the questions. And so
Shh, we haven't sent them to you. It's spontaneous.
is it? Shit. Sorry, I was swearing.
Yes, we will cut it off.
So anyhow, my biggest goal of these workshops is that I want really to inspire people, which who are maybe not very aware of what they can do with the tools that they have, because usually these people do work with the Microsoft stack already. So to inspire them how these tools can be bond together and used together, like where it's a synergy of using them all, and then to inspire them, as said, to simply experiment, to try these tools out on their own, not to be afraid that whatever a machine will explode if they make a mistake, but instead to simply open their eyes to what are the potential capabilities and benefits for them of trying this automation. And so, as said, the inspiration so that they will then continue the learning on their own after they leave the workshops. And as well to enjoy beautiful Gdynia because the place is lovely and there is, well, close to the beach and sea. So it will be an amazing event, I'm sure. Like, I can't wait for this.
Yeah. If someone will came a little bit earlier, I mean like a day before, or really likes to get up in the morning, it would be really nice to go for a quick walk on the beach before your workshops to gain a little bit energy and gain from the city and the sightsees the power to actually hyper automate everything.
Yes, indeed.
That was great. Thank you for your time
Thank
and
you very
see
much.
you at 29th of this month, actually. Yes, 3 weeks. So 29th,
Right.
Friday, 9 a.m. we start. You can be a few minutes before. That would be better. I mean, people who are watching, because you, I assume, will be on perfectly on time.
Of course. So, and if you're watching this video and you haven't yet registered, then possibly there is a hyperlink for registration somewhere below the
Somewhere.
video. So, yes,
I love
somewhere.
them. Yes, I love this magic of
So be
YouTube.
sure to
You know,
register
it's
if you like that interview and if you
yeah.
got,
Um,
hooked.
yeah. It's a lot of hours of maybe it's quite few hours, right? Because it's the full day workshop, like working hours, and there's a lot of knowledge over there, but it doesn't go with the whole bootcamp price, right? We mainly go with the idea to share the knowledge. So please, somewhere here, right? Click
Yep.
register, be there, learn something new, and meet new people because the networking on Friday will be really great. Not mentioning Saturday, where there will be plenty of
Stay.
people all over the world.
Fantastic. All
Crazy.
right.
These things happening in Gdynia. Come on. So good. Thank you, Tomasz, for your time and see you soon.
Yeah. Thank you. See you soon. Enjoy your weekend.
You too. Have fun.
Bye.